Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to play the next two songs in your book. So now that you're getting really comfortable with the Beatles song, we're going to go to Don't Fear the Reaper and La Bamba. So those are just short riffs and they're like the main kind of melodies for the song. But of course, you know, we can learn more parts if you're interested in any of those songs. And these here, they both use from the low E all the way to the G string, right? So now we're learning more about the G strings and the notes on it. So something you should definitely review is the notes up to the 5th fret on the G string. So it's the open G, of course, right? That's when we play the open string. The 2nd fret of it is going to be the note A right here. Then we got the B on the 4th fret, and then C is on the 5th fret. So you don't have to worry about the sharps or the flats as much right now, but just make sure that you know that the G, A, B, C are the notes on that string, right? If you do want to get into the sharps, we talked about them already, so you're pretty familiar with that. The 1st fret is going to be the G sharp A flat, right? Because it's sitting between the G and the A right there. That's like a black key on your piano. Kind of the same idea. And then the same one between A and B, so that's the A sharp B flat in there as well. So you don't necessarily have to memorize all 5 frets, but if you just know where all your main notes are, then you'll know your sharps and the flats from there. So with Don't Fear the Reaper, something we need to start doing is letting our notes ring. So lots of the time you'll see let ring throughout in your tab or anything like that, just let ring. All that means is you're not releasing your fingers after each note, but you're actually just holding them down, and then the notes together, they sound quite pleasant, right? So they're just very smooth instead of a something like that, right? So in this song, it's really important. It's a very popular song. I'm sure you've heard it before. The riff is quite fast and flowy, and that's why, you know, us letting the notes ring sounds really nice in there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the first 2 fingers, 1 and 2, and we're going to put them on the 2nd fret of the D string and the 2nd fret of the G, kind of building your A power chord basically. And we're going to pick through our strings separately. So we're going to start from the A to the D to the G, and then we're going to open the G string. So together it's just like that. And I'll do it a little slower again. Yeah. Notice I'm also alternating. It depends on what you're comfortable with, but I find that for me it's easier to go down, up, just to really keep the flow going. I mean, some people definitely would play all down too. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, just whatever floats your boat, I guess. So that's the first kind of broken down chord that we're playing there. And then the next one is the G. So for that, we're gonna, just like as if we were playing like an open G chord, we just need the top 2 notes here on the top 2 strings, and then the next 2 as well, the open strings. So we're gonna put your 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, and then the 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A. So one thing, just remember when you're playing that chord, right, or just placing just those 2 fingers there, you just wanna make sure that you're not muting any other strings around it, right? So it should be nice and clear. You're going to play through the 4 strings again, right? So this time it's the low E, A, D, and G. So if we put that together, we have so far, right? If we add that first measure together, they're all 8th notes and it's a pretty fast tempo. So eventually, as you're getting more used to it, you can speed it up. So I'll do that one more time for you, and you can watch my left hand as well, the fretting hand. Notice again, I'm not lifting, I'm not going, because then it's not going to have the same effect, right? So you're just thinking now in shapes, right, when you're placing down your fingers. So then the next chord after that is basically like an F power chord, the F5, right, the one that you're playing here. So it's the 1st fret on the low E string, that's your note F, right? And then we also have the note C right here. That's going to be done with your 3rd finger on the A string 3rd fret right there. So you played those power chords lots before, you know, remember that they're movable, right? So this one is like the F5 that we're playing. So yeah, and then we're going to pick through it the same way. So we're starting on the low E, then A, D, and G, just like that. So just make sure that you can connect those nicely too. If you're hearing something like that, if you're muting, chances that your ring finger is kind of a little bit flat. Just remember that, you know, the grip needs to be kind of curled, right? Your fingertips are the only thing that are touching the strings, and that's it. So you don't want to flatten it, right, in this case here. So that's the third chord, and then we actually just go back to the second one, to the G. Yeah, so you're always picking through 4 notes in this kind of a pattern, right? So I'll put everything together nice and slow. We got the first one, second one, then the third, and then the fourth is same as the second one. So it does sound really nice. You can tell when you're just letting those notes ring as you're playing them. So I'll just play a little bit faster for you, and yeah, see how you enjoyed. I think it's going to be a fun one for you to play at home. And if you do enjoy it when you listen to it at home, we can definitely add more parts to it as well. We can jam to it. Yeah, it's really quite beautiful, right? It can be done pretty quick in the original. So yeah, it's by Oyster Cult, by the way, the song. And the second song that I want you to work on this week as well is La Bamba. It's pretty a popular tune as well, so I'm sure you've heard this one before too, but of course you can YouTube it and find a lot of different versions of it if you just want to check it out. And you are also using all 4 strings that we know so far. So we got the low E, A, D, and the G now. Again, if you know your notes in there, that helps a lot too, right? Not necessarily to read the tab, but you know, when you start jamming with other people or reading notes as well, something we're going to get into more as well, you definitely want to know where your notes are on the fretboard. And yeah. So with this one here, we have 3 pickup notes. So if you recall, the pickup notes are the ones that the song starts with, and they're not the first beat necessarily, right? So you'll notice there's 3 eighth notes before your first beat actually, right? So remember how we count the eighth notes? It's the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in 4/4 time. So we actually start on and 4 and. So those 3 notes are happening before your actual first beat of the song, right? So what we're going to do here is the frets that we're using are the 3rd and the 2nd. So you can either choose to use 3rd and 2nd finger or 1st and 2nd. I think I just do that. It really is up to you, whatever you want to do there. So we're going to put those pickup notes together right now. So we're starting on the note G right here on the low E string. That's the 3rd fret. And again, either your 2nd finger or your 3rd. So decide right now which ones you want to try, right? So I'm just going to stick to 1 and 2 here. So first note is that G on the low E string, 3rd fret. Then we have an open A, and then we got a B on the 2nd fret of your A string with the 1st finger. So if we add that in, we got just like that. And again, you know, whenever you're practicing, just take it in small chunks, right? You don't have to play the entire song. Just work on little parts and then put it all together, right? So this is your and 4 and then finally we have 1. There's your first beat. So that is a quarter note, and it's the note C on your 3rd fret of the A string, right? So it's just we're basically walking up. And 4 and 1, and 4 and 1, and 4 and 1. So there it is. Right now, because it's a quarter note, it's a 1 beat, right? So and 4 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, and then we'll add that next 2 and 3 after that. So we get to this note C right here. After that, we're going to the note E on the D string right here. That's the 2nd finger on, or sorry, 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. And then the next little part from there is that this 2 right here, open G, and then 3. So it's E, G, F. You can just practice that on its own if you need, just to make sure that you got that down. And we'll slowly add that together. So we got and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. One more time. And one more. And remember, the rhythm is key. You know, you already know really well how to get the right sound out of your guitar. So now it's about, you know, counting and you know, counting is really just a tool for us to stay in rhythm, right? And you don't always have to count, of course, right? But at the beginning, it could help a lot with so many different rhythms in there. There's like an 8th rest in there coming up. There's the quarter notes, the 8th note, so it needs to stay at a steady time, right? So after that, we have 2 more notes. So those are last 2 8th notes of the bar, right? So this 4 and is the rhythm, right? So for rhythm so far, I've got and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, right? So 4 and is simply your 2nd fret on the G and then open G. So it's the A, G, the notes A, G. So I'll go really slowly and I'll count the first time. So we got and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and notice right after that 4 and you see a rest. So the next measure starts on an 8th rest, right? So remember, if we have an open note, right, open string that we're playing, we can simply mute it by touching it slightly with the palm of your hand, right? So I'll just show you how quick that last note is. And that's it. So you notice I don't let that one ring in this case. I just, simply mute it, right? And then finally, this is a little interesting because you're technically starting that bar on a rest. So it's an 8th rest, which means it covers the half of the first beat. It's the 1, and you got to start playing on and right after that. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the rest are all 8th notes, right? So one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that line goes like this. So we'll go back to the first note that we played, right? So it's the G note on the low E string, the 3rd fret right here, right? So we got 3 2 0 3 3 2 0. I'll just do it nice and slow here. So we got this note right here, the G. Then we have the note B on the A string. Then we have open G, and then open D. I said open G. Yeah, open D, and then F F E D. Right. So just like that, and one more time. That's it. And after that, you see a repeat sign. Of course, we're not repeating the pickup notes again, right? So just make sure that you come back to the note C again, right? So you're not going to go back to the note G. That's one of the pickup notes. You got to start repeating from that first beat again. So I'll play you this whole song nice and slow, counting first. And 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'll do it without the counting right now. And then you can just end that on the note C right here. So this one is probably going to be more time consuming because of the rhythm. So if you ever are getting confused, the riff itself is easy to play, but for the rhythm, just remember that you can tap it first, you can clap to it, count with it as you're playing. There's a lot of things that you can do to help work on the rhythm. And then we'll add working with the metronome after that too with it. So I hope you have fun with both of these songs, and I'll see you next week. Bye.